Helping your child with phonics. A guide to how phonics works to help you help your child. As a parent, you are one of the most important people in helping your child learn to read. This 5-minute presentation will be about the topic of phonics, which is something you may not have heard about before. I want to talk about what it is, how and why it is taught in UK schools, and how you can help your child with phonics, including ideas for what you can do at home. So what is phonics? Words are made up of small individual sounds, and these are called phonemes. In early stages of reading and writing, we teach children how to listen to and identify these phonemes so that they can break down words to help their reading and spelling skills develop. This is phonics. The first stage of phonics is understanding how sounds can map onto letters. This means, for example, they can recognise that the sound B, which is the phoneme, is represented by the visual letter B, which is called a grapheme. This is what we call phoneme-grapheme correspondence. You may assume that there are only 26 sounds to recognise because there are only 26 letters of the alphabet, but this is far from the truth. There are actually 44 different phonemes that a child will need to learn and recognise as they begin to read. Once a child is comfortable recognising letters and what sounds they represent, the next step is to blend these sounds together to make a whole word. For example, k-a-t spells cat. The other key skill at this stage of phonological development is what we call segmenting. This means that if a child comes across a whole word, they are able to break it up into its individual sounds. This may sound easy to us as adults, but in the English language there can be one sound with lots of different ways to spell it out. For example, the sound ow can be found in brown and shout, even though they are written differently. We can also have lots of different sounds when we see the same spelling, such as the CH in school, church, and chef. This can be a challenge for young learners, which is why it is so important to help children grasp those early stages of phonics. If children learn the simple foundations, then they can begin to tackle the trickier parts with practice. What happens in school? In 2006, a report was published called the Rose Review, which provided recommendations on how early reading should be taught in schools. Phonics became the first main method to teach children to read, and this would start at around 5 years old. However, they would be introduced to pre-reading activities before this age. It is widely acknowledged that every child learns differently. Therefore, phonics teaching has become multisensory, so children are able to use all of their senses to learn. This could include pictures, dancing, magnetic letters, using computers, or playing games. At school, assessment systems are put in place to track progress, and if children do fall behind with phonics, extra help is made available to them. Of course, this is not the only way that children are taught to read. They will also have guided reading sessions in the classroom and literacy lessons as their skills begin to develop. How can you help as a parent? The first and arguably most important way you can help your child is to read at home with them. Focus on making reading an enjoyable, positive experience for your child. You don't necessarily have to read a book. It could be something that you know will actively engage them. A comic, magazine, something on the internet or a Kindle, even reading toy catalogues. If children see how text is used in the real world, then they may be more interested in learning how to read it. You can talk about what you are reading or reflect on what it was about. Get them engaged in what they are learning. leads on to the next way you can help your child. Talk about what they have learned at school. In the early years, your children may be learning songs at school with actions. Ask them to show you and join in. You can find out either from your child or from the school which letters your child has been learning so far, and print off your own materials to practice these sounds and letters at home. Lastly, if you are concerned about your child's progress and aren't sure whether you should give them more support at home, or if you just want to know more about what they are learning, it could be beneficial for you to speak to your child's teacher. Asking questions such as, how are they progressing? How are you teaching phonics? Or simply, how can I help at home? Will mean you can get more specific information on your child's learning and what you can do to support them. Thank you for listening.